Yep, I'm a cowboy. And I'm pretty good, but I ain't the best. I'm one of the best. If I was the best, I could do everything great. But I have a little bit of a weakness when I'm out cowboying. I'm not a very good roper. And the reason I'm not a very good roper is I was never taught how to rope properly. The old cowboy rancher I started working for when I was a youngin' told me that I'd get myself kilt. Kilt? Ain't that something a man wears in Scotland? A kilt? Well, anyways, he said I'd get myself kilt. So the only way that I could learn to rope was practice on my own. And I learned a few things practicing on my own. First off, you can't really rope a pig too well. They don't have much of a neck, and when you throw that lariat around their neck, it just kind of slides off. But you can rope them pretty good around the middle. Now, I raised a few hogs, and one day we happened to have some out, and I thought, this is a good time to practice roping. So I got my rope out, and now these hogs were getting ready for the sale barn that week, and I learned a couple of things that day. First off, you never rope an animal like a pig that's heavier than you. Now, at the time, that pig was probably 230 pounds, and I weighed 130 pounds. Well, you can get a rope on a pig easy. Getting it off is hard. And when that pig hits the end of the rope and jerks you off your feet, the first thing you're supposed to do is let go. But being the toughie that I was at the time, I hung on, and he dragged me through the barnyard, over some rocks, through the stickers, and into the corner of the barn before I finally let go. So I opted for the easy way to catch the hog. I just got a bucket of feed out. Another thing I learned when I was learning to rope was that if you rope a wild turkey, when you're riding a bomb-proof horse, the horse isn't bomb-proof anymore. Because when that turkey hit the end of the rope and jumped up, that bomb-proof horse, which was a kid's horse, supposed to be able to handle everything, when he saw that turkey flying on the end of that rope like a kite, he come unglued. I come unglued from the seat. Yeah, I learned the hard way. So when I moved on to the feed yard, that first feed yard I went to, I told him, I says, I can't rope. At least I'm not very good at it. And the boss says, well, don't worry about that. We'll give you some time to learn. Well, we worked a weekend one time, and I, in the back of my mind, I knew this roping thing was just going to come back to haunt me. And that weekend was on a half crew, and Barry and I were told that there was a heifer with a foot rod out on wheatgrass. We had to go catch her. Well, I wasn't too concerned because I'm a pretty good hazer. And a hazer's job is just to get that animal up close enough to the roper so that they can get a rope on that animal. Well, I hopped on my horse all eager to go, and Barry started to get on his horse, and the stirrup leather tore. Well, right then and there, I knew that I'd be the one roping. So we get out there, and as I'm riding out there, I'm thinking this through my mind, and the wind's blowing about 15-20 miles an hour and gusting up to about 25, and I'm thinking, this isn't good. Anytime you're roping wind, it's not good. And then I looked at it another way. I'm a bad roper. That's 2 strikes against me. The third strike was I didn't have a hazer to help me out. And the only positive thing that I had going for me was my cow pony Sarah. She'd put me right within 5 feet of that critter every time. I should be able to get a rope on that animal pretty quick. Well, as soon as that heifer saw us on horseback, she took off running on that crippled foot like the devil was after her. And so I spur my old mare up there and get her lined up to catch that critter, and she had me right perfect. And I threw that first loop and missed. And old Sarah, she kind of gets a little snorty sometimes, and she was kind of mad at me for missing because it was just a perfect shot. She starts snorting. Every step I heard that, and I get my rope and I get ready to throw that second loop, and I miss again. This time she hits the ground a little hard. She hits with that front foot real hard and jerks me and almost wrenches my back, and I'm thinking, okay. Get the rope gathered up and we're running, and here comes this heifer, and I'm just getting ready to start my loop to throw, and that heifer crosses over in front of Sarah, and in desperation I just toss that rope over her head, and the loop I see is way too big. So I jerk the slack, and I watch as this heifer runs through that loop, and I'm thinking, I've missed her again. But no, I caught her by one heel. And at that moment I realized I was in trouble because the rope was in my right hand, my reins was in the left hand, and I needed to do a swap so I could get her dallied. And I got her dallied up okay and got old Sarah stopped, and now here comes Barry. And he takes his rope and he throws on the head of that heifer, and he brings it back to me and has me dally up. Well, then I realize I've got a rope on the right side, I got a rope on the left side, and if that heifer decides to do anything, I'm in a world of hurt. Barry gets the trailer. Yeah. And you know, when your mind is running 900 miles an hour, seconds seem like years. Minutes seems like centuries. And he had to have been gone 19 centuries before he got himself back over there with the trailer. Well, he gets his horse out, ties the horse to the side of the pickup, gets that head rope, ties it hard to the trailer, grabs that foot rope, takes it off, hands me the foot rope after he puts it on her head there, and so I can, and he winds it around through the trailer there is how he sets it, and I dally up and I start to pull, and I'm looking back. That old heifer's starting to get in there. She's fighting that rope. Everything was going good till Barry's horse untied himself from the pickup and decided to come over and talk to Sarah. Well, old Sarah, she's kind of a grouchy old thing when you working. She doesn't like any other horses around her. I've seen her just lunge at other horses and take big old hunks out of them when they got too close to her when she's working. She's just kind of one of them workaholics, I expect. So at that moment, when Barry's horse comes over and Sarah lays her ears back, I'm going to freeze frame you right there. That heifer had just choked herself down in front of that trailer gate, and I was getting ready to just jerk her in there, but old Sarah crosses horns with old Barry's horse, and she lays her ears back and she switches her butt around to kick at that horse and catches the rope under the tail. There was only one thing for me to do, and I did it. I bailed off, and I'm going, easy Sarah, whoa Sarah, and I'm thinking, well, that heifer's on the ground, I've only got a few seconds left. I get that rope up under there and I just jerk it out from under, and I jump on and I dally and look back, and that heifer's just getting up. So I give old Sarah a good old kick and she jumps forward, and that old heifer just zings right into the trailer, and Barry closes the gate. Yeah, my old heart's going thump, 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 thump. My nerves are shot. I get off and I inspect old Sarah's undertail there, and it was a pretty bad rope burn. But she'd recover from her injuries. Whether I'd recover from my nerves was another thing. And we got the ropes off the heifer, and we loaded her up in the front of the trailer, shut the gate, put the horses in, and took off towards the feed yard. We get out on the road, and Barry goes, can't believe your mare didn't unload you when that rope got under her tail. And I didn't say nothing. I was sitting there shaking still, and later on he said I was white as a sheet. Finally, he couldn't stand it no more. He says, what in the devil's the matter with you? And all I could get out was, I can't rope. He laughed. He says, you could have fooled me.